Consecutive interior angles or co-interior angles. What are co-interior angles, you might be wondering? These are the angles that are between the parallel lines. These angles are also on the same side of the transversal and they sum to 180 degrees. We can recognize these angles by forming a C between the parallel lines. It therefore means that the two interior angles sum to 180 degrees. We can also form these angles on the other side of the transversal, and it means that the other two opposite angles are also co-interior angles and they sum to 180 degrees. Let's work an example. Let us find the size of the missing angles. We can form a C between the parallel lines to indicate our co-interior angles. It therefore means angle N and 110 degrees are co-interior angles and their sum is 180 degrees. So we can simply find N by taking 110 degrees from 180 degrees to give us 70 degrees. Why? Because N is co-interior to 110 degrees. How then can we find X? There are two ways we can find X. X can be on a straight line or a supplementary angle. So it therefore means that X and 110 degrees, when they sum together, give us 180 degrees. So we can simply find X by taking 110 degrees from 180 degrees to give us 70 degrees. And we say that it is supplementary to 110 degrees. We can also find N by simply drawing a Z between the parallel lines. And when we form a Z between the parallel lines, it means they are alternate angles. And it means that the opposite angles are equal to one another. So X and N are considered to be alternate angles and they are equal. So another reason or another way we can find it is using the alternate angle, because N would be alternate to X and X is alternate to N. Let's try another example. How do we find the size of angle P? Simple. We can draw a C between the parallel lines to indicate that these two angles are co-interior to one another. And co-interior angles sum to 180 degrees. So we can find P by simply subtracting 120 degrees from 180 degrees to give us 60 degrees. Because it's co-interior to 110 degrees. How can we find M? M and P are corresponding angles, and we learned those types of angles in the first video. Corresponding angles are on the same side of the transversal in the exact same position on the parallel lines. So it means if P is 60 degrees, M is also 60 degrees. Why? Because it's corresponding. We can also find M by simply using our supplementary angles. M and 120 degrees are on the same straight line, and angles on a straight line equals 180 degrees. So if we subtract 120 degrees from 180 degrees, we will still get 60 degrees for M. So M can also be supplementary to 120 degrees. Let's look at this challenge. First, the lines on the triangle tells us that the two sides are equal and the two angles are also equal. How can we find A, you might be wondering? Simple. Because we know that all the angles within a triangle equals to 180 degrees, if we subtract 50 degrees from 180 degrees, we would get 130 degrees, which means the two opposite angles both together will give us 130 degrees. So it's easy to find A because A and the other missing angle are equal to one another. So all we do is divide 130 degrees by 2 to give us 65 degrees. So each of those angles will be 65 degrees. How can we find K? We can simply draw a Z on our parallel lines to give us an alternate angle. And we know that our alternate angles are equal to one another. So the measurement for K and A would be the same because they are alternate angles. So because A is 65 degrees, K will also be 65 degrees because it's alternate to A. Don't forget, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. See you in the next video.